It's true, as they say, you can't choose your family. In the film The Last Family, one of the most popular Polish titles of recent years, the head of the family, painter Mr. Beksinski, records his loved ones all the time, compulsively filming the events in his apartment with a VHS camera, even if there's not much going on here. He lives with his wife and dying mothers of both. Their son Tomek, a translator and popular radio presenter, is also a constant visitor to their flat. It all makes a kind of interesting family. The script of the film was written by Robert Bolesto, who created a text for Krzysztof Skolecznier's enigmatic hardcore disco, and Agnieszka Smoczniczna's The Lure, a musical about the murderous sirens, which was shown at Sundance. With these films, he confirmed his position as one of the most important contemporary Polish scriptwriters, able to capture the characteristic nerve of our country. The film was directed by Jan MATUSZYNSKI, who had previously made a well-received documentary about divers called Deep Love. The Last Family was his featured debut, which premiered at the Locarno Festival in 2016. The film left the event with the Silver Leopard for Andrzej Seweryn, who played the role of Beksinski. The eminent actor, known for his collaborations with Andrzej Wajda, was also part of the famous Parisian Comédie Française for many years. Seweryn does indeed give a spectacular performance, but leaves room for other characters of the drama to be heard as well. Those in the film were completely dominated by the painter's strength of character, which, although discreet, is also so great that it completely overshadows his wife and her son Tomasz, played by Dawid Ogronik, who must stand on his head or reach for a razor blade to match his father's charisma. On the international film posters it was written, "Family life isn't always sunshine and rainbows, and here we hardly know them, especially since Beksinski hated nature. He preferred concrete." He's an authentic figure, one of the most recognisable Polish painters of the 20th century. His surrealistic, visionary painting has been arousing wide interest until today, and remains an inspiration for the next generation of artists. His art was cultivated in Poland, and reproductions of his dark, surrealistic paintings hung over the desks of every rebellious teenager. Since the entry of computers, the artist has been creating in digital technology. The film opens with a scene from 2005 when Beksinski talks about his fascination with new technologies, as well as his sadomasochistic fantasies, in which Alicia Silverstone plays the main role. However, we quickly go back to 1977, when a clan is settling in Warsaw. Beksinski is delighted with the new housing estate. Tomasz, who can't finish his studies, gets his own apartment. Although he arranges it in his own way, it is only a few blocks away, and the uncut cord makes his parents visit him all the time. The unhealthy symbiosis is well illustrated by the scene in which Tomek asks his mother to remove the girl he's just broken up with from his apartment. Since then, Matuszynski has been conducting the action chronologically for decades, but he does not pay attention to the breakthrough events in history. We will see neither martial law, nor the Round Table, or NATO ascension. Life of this family goes on somewhere else. It's enchanted by his father's art, the music played on the cult program of Radio Troika by his son, and the two grandmothers stubbornly clinging on to life. Around the low-floating curse of death and family matters which are the centre of the universe. Although the film is about an artistic family, the customs here are very traditional and patriarchal. Men nurture their professions or erotic passions, and women nurture men. From old women to Tomasz's lovers, they are all reduced to subordinate roles. In The Last Family, all family life is organised around men, their needs, mood swings, obsessions. Sophie, played by Alexandra Konechna, is responsible for extinguishing smaller and larger fires. Not to mention washing, cooking and even driving. She endures everything with humility. Sometimes only her face will reveal the grimace of trouble and pain. One can say she carries her cross with dignity. After all, only she, out of all the three main characters, shows a certain religiousness. However, she's not able to infect her husband or son. Those two are driven by their own egos. The model of family relations is strongly rooted, not only in Polish society, but also in pop culture. Just turn on your TV. These series often produce the traditional model. Since the 1960s, family comedy has become popular, presenting a model in which the head is the father, but the neck is the mother. It was then represented by the series Civil War, in which a stable, distinguished and always busy man was the Nestor of the family, and his energetic wife took care of the house, while the greatest frictions caused generational conflict with the children. A decade later, in the blocks of flats, the situation was similar, but the social roles shifted somewhat. In the 1970s, in the popular A 40-Year-Old, the engineer Stefan Kowalski, who was rebuilding the capital city, was still the head of the family, but his wife Madzia, according to the spirit of the times, was already employed as a laboratory worker. The four walls, in which we observe the characters, are not without significance. In the post-war realities of the country undergoing reconstruction, still suffering from huge hunger for housing, the portrayed families enjoy living in tenement house or blocks of flats at most. Their family lives are always entangled in misfortune with their neighbours. The evolution of the image of a family in multi-storey concrete houses reaches its peak in the 1980s. In the absurd comedy series 4 Alternative Street, we see the representatives of different social strata, believes in different values and life models. We observe independently written stories. Traditional rural families who move into blocks of flats with a hen and the rest of the livestock, but also singles who look for happiness and love in their neighbourhood. In the 1990s, after the political breakthrough, the television series will be radically re-traditionalised, a return to the history of families with strong ties, multi-generational, to true family sagas. Soap operas appear on a small screen, like the extremely popular Latin American series. The series concerning families are still triumphing, but they take on a pre-war dagger. They are no longer inhibited by blocks of flats, but by city villas, such as in The Clan, or noble manors in Złotopolskie. At the turn of the century, the television family becomes democratic. The hearts of viewers are won by a story of a rural family with children moving to Warsaw, as told in Jak Miłość. Perhaps because of the family theme prevailing on television, Polish cinema avoided this kind of kitchen sink drama, considering family stories rather banal. There were more important topics like natural history, war, existential dilemmas. It seems, however, that contemporary filmmakers try and look under the surface of a happy family picture known from television. Traditional Polish families, whose stories are still being eagerly explored, gain an analytical trait. This was the case with Saviour's Square, made in 2006 by the Krause couple, who talked about the annihilation of a certain Warsaw family, and in Piotr Domalewski's Silent Night about an unsuccessful Christmas, or in Jagoda Szelt's Tower, A Bright Day, where not only the contemporary family, but also the whole world is decomposing. Family relations also have been the subject of jokes and caricatures. Probably the most severe satire was The Wedding by Wojciech Smazowski, but also there are warmer images of the contemporary family, such as the one painted by Kinga Dębska in These Daughters of Mine, where she said goodbye to her parents. Polish cinema also changes the view on intergenerational relations. For example, it re-evaluates the image of raising children in Kuba Czekai's Baby Bump, but also the attitude towards the elderly, who often, more and more, can already be full-time protagonists of the film and go beyond the role of grandmothers and grandfathers imposed upon them. We will experience this in Time to Die by Dorota Kędzierzawska or Cat with a Dog by Janusz Kondratuk. Polish family, as we also see in The Last Family, is not a monolith. Each is different, and each one fascinating in its own way, even if not always idyllic.